All right. We got finished a little early, but I'm going to announce the next speaker. It's Mizzi from Major League Hacking. I'm used to saying MLH, and not everybody knows what MLH is, especially from the US. So Max, come up on stage. We're going to be talking today about the Web3 BUILD Incubator Fellowship that MLH did with Near Horizon. And then after that, it'll be followed by a panel with some of the fellows, actually. So welcome.
Thank you, Bianca. Let me just get set up here. All right. So, as Bianca said, here to talk about a partnership that started this summer between the Near Horizon group and Major League Hacking. So I will dive straight into it. Let's see which way takes us forward here. Awesome. So the Web3 Incubator Fellowship. It's been known by a few different names over the last few months, but it's all the same program. The idea is to engage with early career developers and bring Web3 ideas to life. So I'm just going to skip forward real quick and just talk about the Major League Hacking or the MLH community. Not everyone knows about us. We have about 150,000 active members. And we think about active members as people each year who are attending MLH programs, events, hackathons, workshops, and some of the more immersive programs like this fellowship program. We do a lot of co-contribution programs as well as the hackathons that we're well known for. And through all of that have built the world's largest community of early career technologists, spanning over 95 countries, 4,000 universities, 1 in 3 new computer science grads in the US, and a huge amount of diversity, both across the world and in terms of people from different backgrounds. One of the really interesting stats that I want to share here is that within our community, in the last year, about 15%, that's 15%, have built an app in Web3. That's not very enthusing, really, for this kind of community. But there's another stat that comes with that that I think paints it in a very different light, which is that about 60% of our community want to build their first Web3 app in the next year. So there's a huge untapped potential of these student and early career developers to bring them into ecosystems, really be their first experience in Web3, in the blockchain world. So jumping back quickly, what is the mission of the partnership? What this partnership was all about, and in the words of Jared Barnes, to harness the talent and creativity of early career and student developers to grow the Near developer base and convert builders into founders, and ultimately taking ideas from the student community to the mainnet. All right, let's get into how we do this. So this program really consisted of kind of 2 main parts. The first part is a hackathon. It was a weekend-long virtual hackathon event with talks and workshops and lots of engagement from the Near team, from the Near community, and pulling in lots of the MLH community. That hackathon was your application process to get into the 3-month incubator program. So 4 winning teams, the best of all the projects that we saw throughout the hackathon, got into the fellowship program, which is an immersive 12-week program. Folks were spending 20, 30 plus hours each week working on their projects in their teams with mentorship, with pod leaders, with talks, with workshops, and lots of different opportunities. And then, post-program, like what happens next? The idea of this program is to bring people into the community, bring people into the ecosystem, and provide them opportunities once they've built out a formal kind of prototype and an early product to really stay in the community and continue to do other activities. One of them being NEARCON. A lot of people say, where are the founders now? And I say, they're right here. They're in this room. They're in Lisbon. They are here to continue building their networks and continue shaping their ideas. And we're going to hear a lot more about that later. So let's dive into these 2 components of the program. The Web3 Build Hackathon. So this is the bread and butter of MLH running hackathons. We had around 900 people register their interest in the hackathon. onboarded over 300 new Web3 developers into the Near and Boss ecosystem, something that we're very proud of. And as well as being a great event to bring new developers and hackers into the ecosystem, this was also a huge marketing and brand building initiative, right? Tens of thousands of MLH community members heard about this event, not only that it was taking place, but also the outcomes of it, the winners, the prizes, huge spotlight put on all of that work done. We had over 30 project submissions throughout the weekend, completed project submissions that met the criteria, and through a judging process, we identified all of the right people and all of the right ideas to take through that incubator program. People who had the right commitment, who had the right ideas, had the right technical knowledge, and who had that innovative spark that between MLH and the Near Horizon team we were looking for. So, who showed up to this hackathon? Well, the average age was 22.5. So a really young crowd spread from kind of 17, 18 through to like mid-20s. About 80% undergraduate student level, and about 75% of people opted in to hear more and to stay part of the Near community. One of the really interesting things that we saw here, and tied back to the fact that only a small percentage of people have already started building in Web3, is that on a scale of 0 to 4, the average rating of familiarity with Web3 was 1.5, which is really interesting, right? People were coming to this event not because they're experts, not because they're going to win big bounties and they've been doing this for years, but because they wanted to get their start. They wanted to go from like a 1 out of 4 to a 2 to a 3 out of 4 and really build their familiarity and understanding of Web3. So what happened next? We took 4 programs and 4 projects and 14 founders from the hackathon into this incubator style program. It's a 12-week immersive incubator program that provides a real-world environment for these teams and founders to shape their ideas, build out their projects, and lay the groundwork for them to launch ventures. Everyone who came into this program was really thinking about themselves as a founder for the first time, understanding what that means, thinking about building technology from the scrappy kind of project that wins a hackathon through to a product that you can sit down with with a VC and pitch for funding. That's a huge shift in journey that people had to go through. 4 components to the program that supported people going through that journey. There's a lot of facilitation. So we have a pod leader structure, regular stand-ups, weekly like sprint planning, office hours, async troubleshooting, all of the ways that typically in this kind of ecosystem people would be building their projects. A whole bunch of resources, project grants, access to Horizon credits, business mentorship, technical mentorship, training, so asynchronous, LMS-based training, as well as talks, coaching, online learning paths, all the things that people really need to get from their first attempt at building out a Web3 project through to having something that they can pitch and demo. The last piece is really about feedback and iteration. We're big believers in this kind of cohort-based, project-based learning model that people need regular engagement and feedback. So we structured a lot of the program around having monthly demos where all of the teams would sit down and actually demo what they've worked on, get feedback, use that for their sprint planning, treating a lot of the Near Horizon team almost as their early adopter customers, right? Finding out what they wanted to see next, which I think was hugely valuable in steering and direction setting and all of the kind of pivots that the teams went on that we're going to hear more about later on. So quickly introducing the projects. 2 of the projects are here to speak for themselves right after this intro, and 2 others we're gonna cover with some of the MLH team who are here. So the 4 products were MediBridge, Transpact, StoreHub, and TradeMint. Some of them have even changed their branding and names throughout the program, so some real startup experience here. It's really interesting that we saw a very wide mix of different Web3 and blockchain use cases, from deploying smart contracts to manage like contractual agreements and processes, through to data storage and security, through to e-commerce, through to almost like trade finance. So a lot of the use cases that you've heard about throughout this event have actually been quite organically identified by a group of hackers as interesting areas to deploy Web3 and blockchain technology. I'm not going to introduce everyone here in person. Some of the folks are here in the audience. Some of the folks are here on the panel shortly. If you see any of these people around, make sure to say hi to them at the event. We had fellows from all over the world, so spanning from Egypt to India to Hong Kong to Canada to US to Nigeria. A huge breadth of people from across the MLH community being part of this program. Not only being hackathon winners, but actually completing, all 12 weeks of the program. 6 countries represented, NPS of 83, which represents, not only the work that we at MLH have done, but also all of the support and engagement from the Near and Near Horizon team. 100% of the individuals and projects completed the program, which is phenomenal. You never see 100% completion scores on these sorts of pages. And there's 100% interest from all of the participants in continuing to build on Near. Again, lots of folks are here. Lots of people are working out how to take their ventures forward, working out what ventures they're going to work on next. So, going back to that mission and ambition of building awareness of the Near ecosystem and the blockchain operating system, tick, right? Over 900 people were so interested they signed up for an event. Over 300 new developers onboarded. We've identified and nurtured some really high potential student entrepreneurs and taken them a significant way on their journey, towards becoming, the startup founders of the future. I'm gonna stop with the monologue here. I think the best way to bring this to life is to bring some of the folks on stage, have a conversation about the program, the experience, the projects that they've built, and what they're going on to do next, other than having made the journey from 3 different continents to be here in Lisbon and speak to you all today. So thank you very much for listening. I'm going to welcome my panel onto the stage, and we'll get into a much more interesting discussion than I can cover on my own.